I wanted to know, how do you stay focused as a writer? You've been, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. You've been writing what you said, to about
22
20
years.
years,
22 years.
22 years, right? So
Right.
I just wanted to know, coming from a rookie to a veteran, how do you stay consistent and focused as a writer?
In terms of motivating yourself, I always say this, that you've got to think of the reason why you did it in the first place. That is the first thing. You've got to look at yourself and say, okay, what is it that's motivating me to write a script? So if I ask you right now, what is the reason that you wanted to write a screenplay in the first place?
I want to tell a story that hasn't been told
Why?
because I want to see representation on the screen. I don't see enough, and I'm particularly fond of the African diaspora, not just showing Black Americans, but showing that we are diverse and we have diverse cultures. We're not just one set stone type of people. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in telling stories that have not been told. I feel like a lot of the same stories you've seen, tens of thousands of zombie movies, apocalyptic movies.
Right.
Um, but I mean, I have ideas to write. Hey, what about people who are dealing with extreme depression, like hoarding? What about people who are, dealing with sex trafficking? What about people, the effects of organ trafficking? It's not, these are not,
Okay. Okay.
these,
So now with all of this, connect that to the next step. What is the positive result if you manage to write scripts and stories about these things that you're interested in? What is your best case scenario? What will happen if you're able to achieve that?
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video. I'm sure you're learning a lot, or at least I hope you are. I wanted to give you a quick heads up that I have a free newsletter with tips and advice on screenwriting linked in the description of this video. So make sure that you click on that link, sign up to the newsletter, check your emails, make sure that you click the blue button in the confirmation email to make sure that it goes directly into your inbox, and also add the email to your saved trusted contacts to make sure you do not miss a post. Okay. And I send a post once every week, once every couple of weeks, but it's also got great insight for you on screenwriting. All right, guys, back to the video.
well, I think if I am successful in my endeavor, then this will shift the conversation in the film world. This will um, maybe allow, more stories of the same subject matter to be told and not be shined, shown away. So I think I'm not going to say like I'm the first person to do it, but maybe I'm the first person to tell it from that perspective.
Okay. Now, in order to motivate yourself, what you need to do is focus on the reason why you're doing it and the positive results that you're going to get from achieving the goal of writing those screenplays. So don't think about the screenplay. That is, in my view, when you think about motivation, that is a means to an end. Very few people are motivated just because they wrote something. They're motivated because of what they wrote. So it's not the writing
Hmm.
itself, but it's what they wrote. It's why they wrote it and the impact that that writing might have on the people that they want to affect by the writing. So in order to motivate yourself, the way I do it, for example, is that I focus on the results that I will achieve should I be successful with the script I'm writing or what I'm doing. So when I'm thinking about that, all I'm focused on is that when I'm feeling down or I don't want to write anymore, I don't want to move on, I then think of, oh, but if I quit, if I don't do this, those goals and those things that I want won't happen. And I'm in control of that. which is the beauty of it. I'm in control of that. There is obviously a limit that I would always tell people is that for screenwriters, and I say this to folks, is that don't think of your goal being the finished film when you're just a screenwriter, because you have no control over that. You have no control over whether somebody's going to buy it, whether somebody's going to produce it if they buy it, or whether the movie will turn out good or anything like what was in your head when you wrote the script. That shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be the creation of that project and that writing that has the potential to do what you want it to do. So it's kind of challenging, because when you're writing a screenplay, you're always going to think about the film at the end. That's just really what you're thinking of, because the screenplay isn't made to just be read like a book. It's an instruction manual for an actual movie or TV show. That is where it gets challenging, because you then have to accept that this thing might never be what I want it to be. Is there a way of me deriving satisfaction from the creation of the potential of it to be what I want it to be? Very difficult, because for a director, that's completely different. Because when you're a director, you're really thinking, can I get enough money to just make it what I want it to be? So your barrier as a director is the financing and getting the money together and the actors and putting it together. When you're the writer, you finished your job, but you finishing your job is so far away from the end of the life cycle. You're the beginning of the life cycle. So of any movie or any project or TV show you've ever seen, the beginning of the life cycle starts with you as the writer. So that's what I would say as far as the motivation is concerned, is that you've got to start looking at it as, what is the potential of what this could be if I write this? Then you marry that with the fact that your uniqueness, and which is where, if you've picked the right topic, it's helpful. If you've picked something where you're the only person that can write it, it adds to your motivation, because you know that if I don't do this, nobody's going to do it. You know? This is separate, though, from if you're doing commission work. So if you've developed to the point where you're hired to actually write scripts and you're working for studios, motivation becomes more professional. Then you're doing it because you've got a contract, you've got to do a job, you've got to hit the deadlines. And then we would talk about the techniques that I have for you, in order for you just to hit your marks and just to hit your deadlines, which you can still employ if you're doing it as independently on spec. So there's something I wrote about in my newsletter called kamikaze method, which is basically when I get stuck and I can't write, I just force myself to write a line, 2 lines, and I walk away. Just breaking through that barrier and knowing that I wrote something that day actually helps me get back, regardless of how good it is. Or even I'll go as far as saying I'm going to write a page before I leave the table. And pushing through that way is sometimes helpful. Does all of that make sense?
It does. It definitely gives me more clarity